Okay, I want to talk about in this video how you always run into your significant other or your friend or your partner or your family members, regardless of how many times you may miss or avoid them. And I'm going to use Dan to Dan because I started watching this anime the other night when I ended up going on like a 2-3 hour walk or so. I ended up smoking a little bit and I was scrolling through Netflix and I was like, hey, you know what? Like this show looks kind of cool. And I remember watching this and the scene seemed so much longer than it seemed when I rewatched it to like get this clip for you guys. But there's this part. So like when it starts out, like they go through this whole adventure and there's not going to be spoilers in this episode that I'm aware of as of right now. If something does come up, I will do my best to warn you prior to it happening. I do apologize prior to then. And also, as you may know, this channel is more about like helping you in your actual life. So basically, here's the kid, here's the guy, Odorana or something like that. And he's like at lunch, he's thinking over here as well too, like, I'd like to go see him because they ended up having like a little conversation or something like that. So like lunchtime happens, she's walking through and he's walking through and it's just like, boom, they miss each other right there. Like they're trying to find each other, they're trying to connect with each other. And like there's just this small, thin little veil of people right between them. And this can be happening with you as well too in your life with whatever you're going to have happen to you. But that's why I say like everything is always going to be coming to you because what is for you will always arrive to you, which is a fantastic way of being able to look at the world. So as they're walking, it's just like, who? And it's Okaran. And it's like, tell us his real name, and she can't do that because if you watch the series, you know that she doesn't like his actual name because she's like in love with this dude that has that name. So she's like, I can't do that. And it's like the boy who likes the occult, and it's just like interested, and it's just like it's lunchtime, so maybe he's in the cafeteria. Excuse me. He's trying to look for her as well too. So like they're both trying to look for each other at this point in time. She goes to her class, his class. He goes to her classroom, whereas she went to his classroom, but they took two different routes to be able to get there because there's that small little veil. Which I just noticed this too. This looks like a normal like white American boy, but like most of the other stuff too is not like really white American boys. That's kind of interesting that like you don't typically see like people in like a hoodie or something like that. It's typically like the school uniform. So like, hey, there's me. Like I decided to show up in this show, which is a pretty cool little thing to do. I love it. So in the next scene, like their classrooms are right next to each other, but from the prior time, they just ended up missing each other because they ended up pushing the wrong people aside, which is like if he would have gone on the other side of her, and like look at that too, like that's pretty cool. So like there's blue colors right there, but then it's like he's pushing through black people, but like it's the same scene, and not black people, but like black. Don't clip that. Black. That's so bad. Yeah, so like it's two women, and then like when it zooms out, it's two men. So it's just like it's a different perspective. I'm pretty sure he pushed through those two girls instead, but like we could actually look at that. Yeah, it totally is those. He did push through those two girls on the other one, but like she's pushing through there. So like they are both on. Oh, dude, that's a trip right there. That's so cool. I don't know if you pick up on that, but like you can see that. How like he is her and she is him. Like it's a very weird concept. They did this intentionally because like he's pushing through those two, but then you see her pushing through those two, but then when they go to the other side, he's pushing through other things. And like if you see that, oh dude, that is so trippy. Dude, I didn't even notice this the first time that I watched this, but this is what I love, dude. Like this stuff, like it's done intentionally. You don't think that it is, but like it is. It's totally done intentionally. So when we look at this, so like you see how her, like she's squeezing through like the two guys, and then he's squeezing through the two women. But then when it zooms out, you see that she was squeezing through the two women and he was squeezing through the two men. It's a very cool concept, but it's just like they'd switch places, but they're also one and the same because there's this understanding that I've touched on briefly where we're all just experiencing consciousness. Like we're all just experiencing in different forms and different ways, which is so cool to see. So that's why then like she goes back, she talks and has these different conversations. He starts looking for her. He's unable to find her. And then it's just like, oh, I can't hear you, whatever it may be. And then as soon as they like turn around, like if they would just turn around right here, maybe this has happened in your life. I know this has happened in my life. It's why I'm always like trying to observe everything and have as many conversations as I have, because I never know the person that I'm going to connect with on a deeper level than like we're connecting with right now. But like she steps out, he's looking that way, he's looking that way, she's looking towards us. So it's like why would they? Maybe she's at the cafeteria. Like Okaran would go to such a rowdy place, which is true. Like I rarely would ever go to like the cafeteria, but that's where she's like. He must be at the school store, the co-op. He hears her say the co-op, and that's why he's like, if he would just turn around a second earlier, I'll drop off after I check off the cafeteria. He checks out the cafeteria because he's like, this is where she would go, but like he wouldn't go there, but she's going where he would typically go. So like they're just both like just a step behind each other, which is crazy to me. And when I was watching this the first time, you guys, like it was just so cool seeing how each person, like they would just go to these different places where the other person would be. So it's like, okay, she's not here, so I'll try the co-op. And then they end up missing each other. So she's like, I'll try the cafeteria. She goes to the cafeteria. She doesn't see him. He goes to the co-op. He doesn't see her. And it's like, okay, well, nowhere to be found. So she's avoiding me. And this is the crazy part, dude, as well, too. Like, we go into our mind and think all these thoughts of like, oh, this person's doing this person's doing that. I know I've been there. And that's why it's like great to just have the conversation. But you also have to have the conversation with your mind first before you can have it in the external. That's a whole thing that I've talked about on other videos on the channel. Don't have specific titles. If you know them, you can comment them down below. So she's avoiding me. She realized this morning how boring I am. And most have thought that I am a pain in the butt. And then it bounces over to her. Seisha, I wonder where he's at. And then lunch break is going to be over soon. And this is the crazy part. This is what I'm saying. Like, sometimes there's just a little thing right in between you guys. And then, like, once you do end up starting to connect, and it's just like you're thinking these different thoughts. You're in your head, like, thinking about all these different things, which happens all the time. I know it's happened to me. So it's just like, this is the worst. And they both say it at the exact same time because they're on the same frequency, they're on the same vibration. She's leaning back like you can't see in the scene. So it's like, come to think of it, he was pretty lifeless this morning, which he was just nervous because he's like, why would a girl like this want to be with me? And it's just like, he was in his head thinking about all these things instead of having the conversation. So maybe he doesn't like people getting in his face. She's thinking about all these different things. Maybe I wasn't earnestly thinking about his feelings. So she's like leans back as soon as he leans forward. So like now she can't see him and he can't see her. And then it's like, Miss Aya has so many friends, so I guess I'm just a friend candidate, which is kind of sad to think, but like these are the thoughts that run through our head. And then she leans back, he goes forward, and then it's just like maybe he's avoiding me, maybe I don't even count as a friend. And then it goes back to him, he's still thinking about it. He looks up at the sky. She's like, I wonder what's happening. I totes feeling the blues. I was conceited. Why am I such a wimp? Like, have these happen all the time. So that's why I'm like, you just have to get out and have these conversations with these other people to understand that like you aren't conceited or you aren't a wimp. Like, you're actually a lot stronger than you know, because like he actually has this power within himself that he isn't even necessarily aware of. I was talking about it on the Jujutsu Kaisen video that I did, which you can always go check that out as well. So it's like, why am I always like this? I'm sorry, Miss Aya. I'm sorry. And then boom, they run into each other, because that's just how it works. And I like the sound effect that they make here, but I'm not going to show it right now, but it's just a very nice, solid sound effect, which was great. But this is where I say, like, regardless of where you are, regardless of how separated you may be, regardless of how many times you think these other thoughts, like there's that person that's probably thinking that exact same thought as you. That's why it's just like, oh, Miss Aya. And it's like, what are you doing here? It's like, she's like, that's my line. It's just like, ouch, like, her teeth clash. It was very good sound. I was searching for you this whole time, was what he says. And she's like, and that was my line as well. Don't be wandering around so much. Were you looking for me? I was, and break is almost over. I thought that you were completely avoiding me. And it's just like, that's what I was thinking as well, too. How this turned into, this is really awkward, need to change topics. And then they go on to this whole thing of where they kiss and all this other stuff. And it's just like, never would do that. Or they start arguing. And then all of a sudden it's just like, wow, those two really get along, which is fantastic. And this is where I say, like, you and I, and maybe you've had interactions. I know I've had interactions with people as well, too. Is like, and this is a thought that I've had, and it's something that I'm still trying to test, is like, when you say have a thought, are you the one that initiated that thought, or did somebody else initiate that thought for you? It's something that I've been trying to figure out. It's something that I know I will figure out, because it's really just a matter of like understanding like who initially had the thought. Because like, as you saw within the scene, like they're both thinking the similar things, and that's why she's like, that was my line. And that's why like what I showed you here as well too at the beginning was like how like they changed spots because they were changing spots, which is just, it's such a cool concept. And once you're able to understand these things and test them out and be like, I like to run into people that I haven't ran into beforehand, or I'd like to think these thoughts, or maybe I'm having this conversation with this person that I didn't originally have the conversation with. And then you start to create all these different things that you didn't originally know that you were able to create. And then all of a sudden you start to have these interactions with all these other people that you didn't even know that you could have these interactions with. And then all of a sudden you start to be able to predict on people's minds, and you'll be able to realize that like, oh, this person was seeing this other thing, but you have no idea that this other person was seeing this other thing, because you can't get into the mind of that other person. But you can also switch places with that other person by tapping into their frequency and understand where they're coming from. By doing all these different things, you'll always run into the person that you have always been meant to run into. You will always get everything that you have always meant to have, because you decided to show up, and you decided to go out, and you decided to try. And sometimes maybe it's just right next to you, and eventually it's going to run and hit you right in the face, just as it's hitting me in the face right now. And I know that if it's been able to work for me, I know that it'll work for you as well too. So like, don't get discouraged. Don't get discouraged. There's no reason to get discouraged. What you're looking for, if it's love, if it's connection, if it's money, if it's freedom, if it's whatever it may be, it's already yours. It's already here. It's just maybe you guys are trying to find each other right now. Maybe you're searching for each other. So like as soon as you get up and you start moving, and then eventually you'll just run into each other and you'll be like, wow, that was actually crazy how that ended up working. And you were saying all the things that I was supposed to say to you. So I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for these experiences. I'm grateful for you listening to this video. I'm grateful for the times that we've had. And I'm grateful for many more times that we're going to have continuing down the road. So with all of that being said, if you like these types of videos, if you like looking into like things like I do, then you can subscribe to the channel with notifications on. Or if you want to learn more about this in a one-on-one capacity, I do offer personal coaching, which is down in the description. With that being said, I'll chat with you guys in the next video, whenever that may be. There's probably going to be more videos around Dan to Dan in the coming weeks, I would say. Series isn't over. There's still 6 more weeks of it, so I might wait for those things to be done before I do like a whole like series on it. I kind of just let the inspiration come when the inspiration comes, because I don't always know what's going to be best or where things are going to go, because I wait for the things to come to me, kind of like they ended up waiting for the things to come to them while they were also searching for it, and then they end up just running into each other in the ways that they're meant to. So whatever you're looking for, whatever you're needing, it's already here. It's already yours, and you already have everything that you've ever needed. So just keep working, keep showing up, keep giving what you can give in the ways that you know how to give it, and magic will start to happen, because magic is all in the imagination, as I talked about on the past videos that we did over this past week or so. With those things being said, I will chat with you in the next video, even though I already said that twice, so we'll do it one more time and wrap it up right here. I'm just trying to kill a little bit of time near these last little seconds, just so I can make this thing a little more magical for all of you involved. And yeah, I appreciate your time, and chat with you guys soon.